breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
Hey, warm and friendly hello! Welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. We have an excellent podcast for you as we're going to be joined in segment number 2 by Tanner Kern. He does such tremendous work over at DraftKings. He's also working out there in the great state of Massachusetts, so no doubt we have to be asking about this wild Red Sox run. Did lose a few games over the weekend against the Athletics, but overall it has been absolutely glorious for them, so we'll ask about that. We'll take a look at just the hierarchy in general of the American League, and then we'll dive into some of these games that we got here on Monday. In the final segment, I'm going to get you guys picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Monday as we touch them all. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you do have one or two ways to be able to throw those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_D1. Keep in mind, Larry CM, naming does not matter, so as per usual, please send these into the timeline. And the other way is via an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. And then from there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. Well, I did not get in any Twitter/X questions today. We had ourselves a great day of baseball on Sunday. Let's take a look back at it, try to find some trends and try to get to know these teams a little bit better.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
The Cincinnati Reds, well, they were on to a 7-1 loss against the Washington Nationals. For the Nationals, they did a nice job taking the wholesale approach here. Brad Lord, oh Lord, he gave up 1 run in 2 2/3 innings. Will Dion, 3 shutout innings. Trevor Williams, 2 1/3 innings. Scoreless. Jake Bird gives a bird with a scoreless inning for Brady Singer. He didn't have the Nationals singing the blues. He also wasn't awful. 3 runs allowed over the course of 6 innings. Does get taken deep by the young gun first baseman in Mbellic. Hopefully I got that correct. Ortiz, his second home run in the campaign. From there, the bullpen was not very good. TJ Antone gives up 3 runs in an inning. Brock and Roll Burke. He does get Brock and rolled for a run given up in his inning of work. Also given up quite a few runs. How about the Kansas City Royals? Send it to the final for Randy Dominic. I thought that there was going to be a regression here, and there was. He gives up 4 runs over the course of 5 innings, and the bullpen from there was even worse. Easton McGee, 6 runs allowed in 2 innings as he gives up a pair of bombs. Ian Happ, he was not hapless. He got his 20th home run of the campaign. Miguel Amaya, he was able to get home run number 4 of the season. Lucas Hurtsage and Josh Rojas, position player, they both give you a scoreless inning from there, but that was very much less than savory. And Matthew Boyd, very solid start here. 1 home run allowed. That was to Mr. Starling Marte of the Marte Parte. Second home run of the campaign. Gives up 2 runs in total in 7 innings. Ryan Zephyron, Javier Assad. They're both able to give you a scoreless inning. Lots of scoring here for the Mets, who have now averaged 5.2 runs per game since Juan Soto went on the injured list. 11-1. They take down the Pittsburgh Pirates. Luis Robert was able to get his 5th home run in the campaign. That comes off of one Mr. Jared Jones. Gives up 8 runs in 3 innings. From there, Evan Sisk gives up a run in an inning. And then you would have Francisco Alvarez get his 13th home run season off of Kirby Yates. Gives up 8th home run in his inning of work. Gregory Soto allows a run in an inning. Camilo Doval, Mason Montgomery, they both let a scoreless inning. So does Rafael Flores Jr. That's a backup catcher. That's not where you want to be. And Sean Manaea, a great start here. 1 run allowed in 7 innings. Punched out 11. That 1 run, a solo home run to Jake Magnum. His 4th home run in the campaign. And then you had 2 scoreless innings out of, I believe this was the MLB debut of Jack Weisenberger. So that's a great name, and that was a great W. And for the Red Sox, they entered into the weekend, I believe, 27-3 in their last 30 games. They have now lost back-to-back games, though, 4-3. The Athletics are able to get the job done here for the Red Sox. Not too bad with their pitching. Eric Miller gives up an unearned run in his inning work. Brian Bayo gives up 1 run in 4 innings. Teran Guerrero, Giovanni Morin, they both give you a scoreless inning. Garrett Woodlock does give up a run in an inning, and so does Aroldis Chapman, who ends up taking the L in this one. And for JT Ginn, he was able to get you all juiced up. 3 runs, 1 of which was earned in 6 innings. Brady Basso, Elvis Alvarado, Hogan Harris. From there, they're all able to turn scoreless innings for the New York Yankees. They continue to have a tough time being able to put runs up on the board. 2-1. The Atlanta Braves get the job done in 10 innings. Cam Schlittler did his part. He gave up 1 run over the course of 7 innings, punched out 11. That 1 run, a solo home run as cranking him deep. It was home run number 34 of the campaign for Matt Olson. From there, Kervin Castro, a scoreless inning. Paul Blackburn in the 9th and 10th innings. He gives up an unearned run along the way. And for Grant Holmes, great start here. 6 shutout innings out of him. From there, the Dodd father, Dylan Dodd, he was able to give you a pair of outs out of the bullpen squirrels. DDA Fuentes, he does give give up a solo home run in 1 1/3 innings as Trent Grisham, 13th home run season. That's the only thing that the Yankees would get at the plate as Raisel Iglesias, Tyler Kinley, scoreless 9th and 10th innings out of them. The Angels have now scored 51 runs in 20 games since the All-Star break. Hey, this was above their average since the break. They scored 3. They lose to Miami Marlins by a count of 12-3 as Ryan Gusto, Gusto to giving up 2 runs over the course of 4 innings, was taken deep by Jose Siri. Siri, how many home runs was that? That would be number 7. You did have Josh Eknes give up a run in an inning, but Michael Peterson, Tyler Zuber, Calvin Fauché, Victor Vodnik, they all turned scoreless innings, and Grayson Rodriguez. Not long for this game. 4 runs, 3 of which were earned in 4 innings. Did punch out 8, but it doesn't do a lot of good when you get tuckered out like that. And then Sean Anderson, 6 runs given up in an inning as Griffin Conine, 11th home run season off of him. And then off of the backup catcher, he would get his 12th home run of the season as Tyler Heineman serves that one up, giving up his home run in his inning of work. You had Ryan Watson give up an unearned run in an inning, and Blake Wyman was able to come in for a scoreless inning, but the Angels now 20-40 away from home. Not great there, and this has been not great for the Blue Jays, their offense, but they were able to score some runs in this game against the Phillies. They still fall by kind of 7-6 as for Shane Bieber and a Fever for giving up runs. 5 runs allowed in 5 2/3 innings as Kyle Schwarber, 2 Schwarber bombs, 34th and 35th home runs of the campaign. From there, the bullpen actually was not bad as you had Brandon Little come up big with 8 scoreless innings, Spencer Miles, and out of the bullpen scoreless, you also had Tyler Rogers and Mason Flaherty give you a scoreless inning. Braden Fisher, he was able to turn 2 scoreless innings, and Luzardo Estrada gives up 2 runs, 1 of which was earned in the 12th inning as it was Derek Hill being able to walk it off. And for Aceless Luzardo, 12 punch-outs, he goes 7 innings, and he gives up 2 runs, and then the bullpen made a mess out of things. If you, like me, had their own line, that was not great to say the least, as Orion Kirkring gives up 3 runs in an inning. Yohan Duran, Tim Meza, Brooks Raley, they do not go off the Rayleys. They all give you a scoreless inning, and then Caleb Killian, he gives up an unearned run in the 12th inning, but that was enough for the team to be able to get the job done there. Also doing enough to be able to get the job done, the Milwaukee Brewers, as they needed extra innings to be able to take down the Minnesota Twins, and they do so, this by a count of 4-3 as the Miz, Jacob Isarowski, does give up 3 runs in 6 innings, including a pair of home runs. Cody Clemens, he was able to get his 20th home run season. Brooks Lee is 17th, but the bullpen from there was able to do their part. Aaron Ashby, Abner Uribe, Trevor McGill, DL Tornado Paul, they're all able to give you a scoreless inning. And then on the flip side of things, you had Connor Prelip give up 3 runs over the course of 5 innings. For Prelip, gives up a pair of bombs. Jake Bowers, his team leading 21st home run of the campaign. And then you'd have Jackson Chourio go deep for home run number 17 of the season. Bullpen from there was pretty solid, though. Tommy Nance, scoreless inning. AJ Minter, 4 outside the bullpen, scoreless. Andrew Morris, pair of outside the bullpen, scoreless. Cody Funderburk, scoreless 9th inning. And then Yandres Gomez gives up the unearned run in the 10th inning as walking it off for the Brewers. Jake Bowers, RBI single. For the San Francisco Giants, they got exactly what they needed out of Logan Webb, but fortunately left the bases loaded in the 8th inning, and that's why they lose by a count of 3-1. Webb gives up 1 run over the course of 8 innings. Dylan Smith from there, he gives you a scoreless inning. Sam Antiges, though, 2 runs, 1 of which was earned, given up in the 10th, and Jason Foley, pair of outside the bullpen squirrels. Troy Melton, he gives up 1 unearned run over the course of 6 innings. From there, Kyle Finnegan, Drew Summers, they piecemeal together 2 shutout innings. Kenley Jansen, Tyler Holton, scoreless 9th and 10th innings. And for the Tigers, don't look now, but they're gaining ground out there in the AL Central, but the White Sox won't let them gain that ground. The White Sox, they get the job done this by kind of 5-3, now 36-22 at home for Davis Martin. A little bit shaky in the start, but a rain delay washes things out. He only went 1 inning, 2 runs, 1 of which was earned, and everyone from there was really good, as you had Sean Newcomb, Oscar Brisbane combined for 3 shutout innings. You had a pair of scoreless innings out of Hagen Smith in his MLB debut. Brian Hudson, Jordan Nix, both on a scoreless inning. Trevor Richards does give up a run in an inning, and for Joey Cantillo, he gets washed out as well. He gives up a run in an inning. Tim Herron, 1 2/3 innings scoreless. The former Brewer Craig Yoho really gives this one up. 4 runs allowed in a third of an inning. Colson Montgomery, 3-run shot, 26th home run of the campaign. From there, Colin Olderman lives up to his aim. 5 outside the bullpen scoreless. Eric Sabrowski, pair of outside the bullpen scoreless. Hunter Gaddis, 1 2/3 innings scoreless. Cade Smith, a scoreless inning, but damage by then, it had very much been done, and being able to do some damage as well. The Baltimore Orioles, 10-5, they take down the Walker Texas Rangers. Cade Povich, only 3 innings in this one, gives up 3 runs. Brandon Nimmo took him deep, 13th home run of the season. From there, you did have Albert Suarez give up 2 runs over the course of 2 innings, but Alex Hoppe and Kittredge very happy about the fact that they both had a scoreless inning, and Yarmil Hidalgo, 2 scoreless innings, and Kumar Rocker got rocked. 6 runs allowed in 3 innings as he was taken deep by Pete Alonso for his 24th home run of the campaign, and Colton Cowser for his 9th. A little bit later on, off of Jordan Montgomery, Alonso, 25th home run season on Montgomery, gives one up to Tyler O'Neill, 10th. boy, how the mighty have fallen for Jordan Montgomery. 3 runs allowed in 4 innings, giving up a pair of bombs. Cool win from there, 1 unallowed, give it up over the course of his 2 innings of work, and for the Seattle Mariners, this team just can't get right. They get swept by the Tampa Bay Rays. 4-1 the final is for the Rays. Ian Seymour, 1 unallowed over the course of 6 innings. Kim Boozer, Casey Lugumina, Steven Matze, I'll give you a scoreless inning. Emerson Hancock, not a lot of length, gives up 9 hits in 4 2/3 innings, but limited the damage to 2 runs. Jose Ferreira gives up 2 runs in 1 1/3 innings. Edward Bizardo, 1 2/3 innings scoreless. Michael Rucker, not out of the bullpen, scoreless. And Nick Davia, a scoreless inning, but again, absolutely nothing doing for the Seattle Mariners at the plate. And for the LA Dodgers, they have won just 1 game since the Tariq Skubal trade. 4-2, the Arizona Diamondbacks get the job done as Eduardo Rodriguez, 9 punch-outs, 2 runs allowed in 7 innings. Taylor Clark, Kevin Ginkel from there, both give you a scoreless inning. Regression certainly at Justin Robelski in this one. 4 runs, 3 of which were earned in 3 1/3 innings, and was taken deep by Ketel Marte of the Marte Parte, 20th home run of the campaign. Edgar Enriquez, pair of outside the bullpen scoreless. Evan Phillips, Kyle Hurt, they both give you a scoreless inning, and Jonathan Hernandez, 2 shutout innings, but by then the damage had been done, and for the Dodgers, not a lot doing at the plate, quite a bit doing for the St. Louis Cardinals. So 7-4, they're able to take down the Colorado Rockies. Michael Lorenzen is no good, very bad, terrible season continues. 4 runs, 2 of which were earned, give it up in 4 1/3 innings. Alec Burleson got his 19th home run season off of him. Tanner Gordon, 2 runs allowed in 3 1/3 innings. Parker Molshinski, 1 out of the bullpen, gives up a run, and Michael McGreevy continues to be pitching a lot of contact, but is dancing through the raindrops. 3 runs allowed in 5 2/3 innings. Was taken deep in this one by Brett Sullivan, 5th home run season, and Hunter Goodman, he has a good man, 34th home run season that comes out for George Soriano, who allows that solo home run in his inning work, but Justin Brule for outside the bullpen scoreless, and then Riley O'Brien, scoreless inning to be able to get another save for him. And then to wrap up the night, it was the Houston Astros falling to the Slam Diego Padres by a count of 7-2 as Randy Vasquez gets a start, and it was a pretty darn solid one. As for Vasquez, gives up 2 hits, 2 total runs over the course of his 5 innings as he was taken deep by Dalton Varsho, 8th home run season, and Christian Javier, not what he was looking for. 4 runs allowed over the course of 5 innings, taken deep twice. Fernando Tatis Jr., I think he's got more home runs post-All-Star break than he did prior to the break. He gets his 11th home run this season. Then you were able to have home run number 18 for Jackson Merrill. Later on, Gavin Sheets, 15th home run season. That comes off of AJ Bluba. Gives up that solo run in his 2 innings of work. Brian King was not the king on this day as he gives up 2 runs over the course of an inning. And it was the Hayes kid going deep off of him. Austin Hayes, his 2nd home run of the season, and the Padres bullpen, they did their part. Jeremiah Estrada and Kyle Hart both give you a scoreless inning, and Bradley Rodriguez was able to come in for 2 scoreless as well. If you're taking a look at trend-wise, what we're getting Major League Baseball right now, unders have been hitting like wildfire. As overall for the season, under rate is now about 51%, 882 unders, 848 overs, and if my math serves me correct, we have had 35 pushes along the way. Favorites on the money line hitting at 56.2%, 971 and 756. Among those favorites, we have now seen 243 fail to cover the run line. Over the last 30 days, we have now seen 62 favorites fail to cover the run line, 201 and 153 on the money line for them, and the under rate, boy oh boy. It is now at 57% over the last 30 days, 200 unders, 151 overs, and a few pushes along the way. Last 7 days in Major League Baseball, underrated is 53.5%, 47 unders, 41 overs, and we've seen 6 pushes along the way. Meanwhile, favorites on the money line hitting at 53.8% at 50 and 43, and 15 of those favorites failed to cover the run line. So that's where we're seeing in baseball right now, and that's where we're all getting trend-wise. Coming next, how about if we do chat it up with our good friend Tanner Kern of DraftKings right here on the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the BC Family Podcast.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by this man, as we've got Tanner Kern aboard. He's doing such amazing work over at DraftKings, looking at a wide variety of things, no doubt about it, doing a great job day in and day out on the baseball front, but additionally, he does a great job in terms of his basketball coverage. He's getting set for football like so many of us. He was doing a great job with the World Cup and so much more. Additionally, he does a podcast of his own with one of our good friends, Graham Mitchell, called the Ride the Line Podcast. You're able to follow him on Twitter /X at his first and last name, Tanner Kern. That is Kern on the last name, and then an underscore after that. And Tanner, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Greg. Always a pleasure talking baseball.
It's always a lot of fun. And Tanner, you're a man that's out there in the great state of Massachusetts. So it's been a fun last few weeks for you. Obviously, a loss or two against the Athletics is not necessarily the world's greatest, but just how have you taken a look at this run for the Red Sox, where they entered into Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, 27-4 in their last 31 games?
Oh, they've been fantastic. But, even a couple losses changes your perception. I know this shouldn't be the way you think about it, but they didn't look good against the Athletics. They kind of look like they did earlier on in the season. I think they're going to start middling out to be around a 500 baseball team, which is good. That's going to get them in the playoffs, especially in a weak American League. But, during the run, they just refused to lose. They went from a team of guys who simply gave up, quit, all the above, to just not giving up, continuing to fight, and big comebacks too. I mean, the Red Sox, I believe they were 0-30, 0-33, one of those numbers. They had, I think, one win when they were down by 3+ runs. Like, the game was pretty much over when they got to that point. And then during the streak, the winning streak, and then obviously just all the wins that have come post All-Star break, they've been able to claw back into games when facing pretty significant deficits. So it's been awesome to watch. The pitching's been good. The offense has gotten better. We always said if they had a league average offense, they would be really good. And that's kind of what happened during this run. They were scoring 4.5 runs a game, and they had good pitching, and that's kind of what we expected out of this Red Sox team. Despite going on an awesome run, they're playing .559 baseball. Their win total was 87.5, and they should be in that 87, 88, 89 win range in my mind.
Yep, absolutely. They've been able to right the ship, and things are looking a whole heck of a lot better for them. And when it comes to this Red Sox team, just how do you look at the hierarchy of the American League? Because right now, the top team record-wise is the Tampa Bay Rays, and they had a solid series over the weekend against the Seattle Mariners, but I do think that the team playing the best baseball right now is probably the Red Sox. The team with perhaps the most upside might still be the New York Yankees if they can get back Aaron Judge, but boy, that's a big if, and without him, they are really struggling. But I do think that this American League just feels as open as I've ever seen a league, because all these teams have been mediocre throughout big, giant periods of the season, and the Red Sox have really been the lone team that's gotten super-duper hot like they have over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Yankees are still the value play in the American League. The Red Sox are... I hate to say the value play right now because they're picked second or third, depending on the sports book that you're using. And you could have got them for probably 100-1 to win the American League. And now that number is down to 5-1, 6-1, depending on where you're looking. I still think the New York Yankees are the most complete team in the American League. I mean, they've been able to stay afloat without Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge has not played baseball in a long time, and they're still the second best team in the league right now. So you got to give them credit and tip your cap there. When they get Aaron Judge back, I know he has not really performed in the playoffs, but at the same time, too, he is a guy who just brings a calming presence to the lineup. You always have to potentially pitch around him and all that. And he can still obviously shine in the playoffs. He's good enough to do that. You just haven't necessarily seen it in the big spots for him. But I think the Yankees are the best team in the American League. The Red Sox are a team that should contend because of their pitching, but going back to that third wild card spot right now, it's the Rangers and the Tigers. The Tigers are 2 games below 500. The Rangers are 500. It's a really weak American League. So I would expect, if I had a bet, I'm sure some sportsbooks offer this, what division is the AL champ coming from? The AL East would be a heavy favorite.
Yep, I would think so as well, and it's going to be very interesting to see what we get the rest of these teams, because I still look at the Chicago White Sox as being an intriguing team. I would have liked to see them do a little bit more at the trade deadline, but I think that they're the team that maybe has one of the lower floors of these teams in the American League that might be able to make the playoffs, but I think that they might be young and dumb enough to be able to really wreak a little bit of havoc, and they've been one of the most consistent offenses in the American League as well.
The White Sox have been fantastic, and, definitely a team that can contend, but, you look at what the Red Sox are able to do, the White Sox, you got to lean towards Boston there based on what's happened. I think my fear with the White Sox is, I love Chase Mydrov, like he's awesome, but this lineup, Munetaka Murakami, right? What are they going to be like in a big spot? I think playoffs is all about veteran experience. I don't know if this team has the veteran big player experience to be able to go out and win in the postseason. You're going to have to rely on guys like a Luis Castillo, maybe, who really has not been that good this season, but he's still one of the better pitchers in their rotation right now. You're going to have to rely on high leverage spots for bullpen arms that maybe haven't seen that in a while, and just a city in general, and for the Chicago White Sox, in a long time, that has not been that good. They've been excellent. They've gone over their win total. They've surpassed that. They've exceeded their projection this year, but I worry about them lining up against the New York Yankees. Even the Boston Red Sox, they're young, they're inexperienced. That one worries me a little bit, but going up against the Yankees or a composed team like the Rays, I do think it's going to be a little hard for the White Sox.
Yep, no question about it. It is going to be interesting to see what we get out of them, because I've been loving what I've been seeing out of them At the same time, they're also in an AL Central where, well, these teams have been very mediocre to say the least, and it's going to be fascinating to see what we get out of some of these games on Monday as well, because you want to talk about something that's been bad. The LA Angels, since the All-Star break, are averaging, and I'm not even kidding when I say this, 2.55 runs per game. They do have Reed Detmers on the mound, who's been pretty solid for them, but Rangers right now about minus 115, minus 120 favorites. Want to get your thoughts here, because if you even think that both of these pitchers are relatively comparable, I just lean towards the Rangers because the Angels have been all sorts of awful at the plate for a very long time.
I mean, the Angels have been the worst team in the American League. I mean, they've been awful in pretty much every category. Look at offensively, the Rangers haven't done much special this year. When you see, I mean, they've scored 484 runs. The Angels have scored 481 total. The on base, the home runs, everything's just slightly better for Texas. So Texas, being 500 for their offense is pretty miraculous. Mackenzie Gore, 6.9, 4.55 ERA, 1.24 WHIP. I don't love Detmers. It's just something about Detmers I'm not a big fan of. I will never really bet on Detmers. He's pretty consistent at home and on the road. So this would be a stay away for me. But when you look at what the season that Detmers has put together, especially at home, it's only a 204 opponent batting average. He's been pretty good, 53 hits in 71 innings. I can't get myself to bet on this Angels team, so I would probably stay away.
Yeah, and I do think that there's good value on the under with the way that the Angels are not scoring, to say the least, as well. So that's one that I'm personally going to be taking a look at. And this is interesting because for the Dodgers, they make the big trade for Tariq Skubal, and he's going to be the man that's going to be on the bump on Monday. And they've only won one game since they picked up Tariq Skubal. Certainly, I think that win percentage with Skubal is going to be picking up sooner rather than later. Right now, the money line price is $3, and I don't think that you're in the business along with me of laying $3, but anything that we might be able to pry out of this game, and just how do you take a look at the Dodgers with your struggles with Tariq Skubal in the fold?
The $3 price, I would go the opposite way, and I would take the Kansas City Royals with how the Dodgers have played in general. I know the Dodgers have been fantastic, but in baseball, if you're giving me a minus 300 for a team that is, has still lost 48 games this season, I know a lot of them come in the last week, but you still lost 48 games, I would probably go with the opposite team and just take a little bit of a chance. Again, it's hard to sweep any team in Major League Baseball, so you got to think Kansas City may steal a game in this one. The Royals have been terrible, don't get me wrong, 20 and 40, 49 and 70, but this is a spot where Skubal's gotten hit at times this season. The fact of the matter is this is an AL Central game basically for Skubal when you think about it, so he's going up against a team that he has faced this season. Against Kansas City, he has a 1.23 ERA. He's only thrown one time against them this year, but still they've seen him once. He got the confidence there. If he can get to him early, it could be worth going against the Dodgers. I don't see the Dodgers losing this game, but I would never take a $3 price.
Yeah, I think that if you really want to bet the Dodgers, more of a minus 120, minus 125 run line might not be the world's worst look, but yeah, $3 on the money line, that's not great to say the least. And this one I think is really fun as well because we've got the Brewers and the San Diego Padres, with the Padres really starting to pick it up, but they're going to be coming off of Sunday Night Baseball. This total 7.5, Logan Henderson against Casey Mize. Relative pick 'em with the Padres about minus 110 or so. Want to get your thoughts here because for Mize, really rough start for the San Diego Padres first time out. Rest of the year he's been solid, and Logan Henderson has been low-key very fantastic for the Brewers himself.
And the Brewers have just been a team that continues to put the ball in play. Padres have been good. I mean, they're 4 games over 500, but you look at a team that it doesn't necessarily fight, gives up a little bit. I lean towards the Padres. The Brewers are the exact opposite of that at 74 and 44. They're going to probably finish with the best record in baseball, 33 and 22 on the road. They've been awesome. Logan Henderson's been really good. Casey Mize has been good, despite the rough start there. When I look at the offensive stats between these two teams, the Milwaukee Brewers have scored 581 more runs while hitting about 20 less homers, which is miraculous. The Brewers just put the ball in play. They have good pitching, good hitting. I will always take them in spots like this against the Padres team that I think just gives up pretty easily. Now, the Padres, the 3 games these teams have played against each other, Milwaukee has won 2 of the 3. I think they're going to have won 3 of 4 by the time this game ends.
Yep, I'm right there with you, and I do think that fading teams coming off of Sunday Night Baseball is something that I like. I don't know if you make a big deal out of it or no deal whatsoever, but it does feel like these teams that come off of Sunday Night Baseball, they just seem a little bit rusty on that Monday game.
Yeah, and for the Padres, not necessarily as concerned here because they are, you got to think about like Sunday Night Baseball out west is a 5:20 start time for them. So I mean, they'll be out to dinner if they want to go out to dinner tonight out in the city of San Diego. And then they are at home once again in a 9:40, so a 6:40 start time. So it's basically like playing a normal midweek game for them. So I'm not necessarily super concerned in this spot, but if the Padres were getting on the road and I had to get on a plane tonight, it's a little bit of a different story in my mind.
Yep, I'm right there with you. And is there anything else that you're going to be taking a look at for this Monday card? Because we do have a few teams that are going to be traveling, but in my opinion, a relatively good card here on this Monday.
Blue Jays, Red Sox, obviously going to be taking a look at this one. You look at Sonny Gray in his past few starts was really good against the White Sox. Got beat up a little bit against the Athletics, but you can't necessarily count that. You go back to his third most recent start. It was against Toronto, 5 innings, 10 hits. He got absolutely shelled. Now he has to go to Toronto in this spot. I think this is one where, Boston being minus 164, even when they're going against Jameson Taillon, still crazy to me. I think the Red Sox are going to start coming back to earth a little bit there. And then I'm also going to be watching that Phillies Cardinals game. Got Painter going up against Dobbins. I like watching Hunter Dobbins because he's a former Red Sox guy, obviously. And the Cardinals are a pesky team. I mean, I know things have been up and down for them. Now they're down to 500 so far in the season. A lot of people thought they were going to be making a run in the National League, but they're a pesky team and they're going to fight against Philly hard. So it's probably a good spot. Some live betting if they go down in this game. They've been really good at fighting back this season.
Yep, they certainly have been. And a man that always battles for your bankroll, that would be you, Tanner. You do such amazing work over at DraftKings, the Ride the Line podcast, and so much more. So all the good people at home know it's all on tap for you and how people can follow along on social media and other platforms.
So you can find me at Tanner Kern on all social media platforms and then at DraftKings, social media handles pretty much every single day, giving betting picks, analysis, all that on the pages. And then my podcast, Ride the Line, on Tuesdays and Fridays with Grant Mitchell.
Absolutely. And our guy Tanner's doing such an amazing job taking a look at this great game of baseball. And every single time he joins me, learns such great insights. So a big thanks to Tanner for joining me on the Baseball Betting Show. Now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Coming up next, it is that time of the podcast to give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Monday as we touch them all.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. It is always a pleasure to be joined by our guy, Rob Donaldson, who does such great work with the show/podcast, Rob's Best Bets. Does great work over at Underdog Fantasy. Every single time he joins me, he lends such great insights, and he did so once again today. So a big thanks to Rob for joining me in the last segment. Now it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Monday as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board, Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that as per usual, any changes are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at @GUnit_81, and we are going to be going in Las Vegas rotation order. This is where we go with the National League games first in time order, then the American League games in time order. Any interleague games, those are going to be at the bottom. That'll keep things all nice, neat, clean, and easy. How about if we get things started? This is 9:51, 9:52 on the card. It is the Metropolitans on the road against the Atlanta Braves as Bryce Elder hopes an outlook elderly for the Braves, and Christian Scott, great Scott, is on the bump for the Mets, and Mets are anywhere between plus 130 to a plus 143. Meanwhile, minus 148 to a minus 160 is that number on the Bravos. And so on this game, it is mostly an 8 with the over at a minus 115, under is minus 105. Seeing one or two straight 8.5, under is minus 120, and the over is even. And I do like the over. I did set my total at 8.7. You do have a Braves offense that has been averaging about 5.1 runs per game at home. That has been a top 4 mark in all of baseball. But I am low-key. The New York Mets have been able to get a lot of offense going ever since Juan Soto's been out of the fold. Without Juan Soto in 15 games, they're now averaging 5.2 runs per game. Now, do I think that this is some sort of amazing offense? No, but you've been able to see some of these guys be able to pick it up a little bit. Like a Carson Bench has been able to about a 260. He's given you 13 or so home runs this season. Francisco Alvarez moving the line up to about a 340 on base. AJ Ewan, 335 on base. You're starting to get something out of Francisco Lindor. So these guys are starting to figure it out. Bo Bichette is sitting at 255. Luis Robert continues to not be good, but hey, you've been able to get some relatively good production there. Now for Christian Scott, you do have to be worried about the 3.9 walks per 9 innings. He is getting 11 strikeouts per 9 innings, and the fielding dependent is only a little bit higher than the ERA, 3.15 ERA, closer to about a 3.38 or so fielding dependent. And then for Bryce Elder, the ERA is not bad at a 3.69, but 4.44 fielding dependent. He has been allowing 1.4 home runs per 9 innings. Not too much of a power pitcher. He's only getting about 7.4 strikeouts per 9 innings, so that does have to have you quite a bit worried there. And then when it comes to this Braves lineup, getting back Ronald Acuna Jr., that is absolutely massive for them, and I do think that he's going to be out of himself a really nice rest of the season moving forward after he was banged up to begin the campaign. Obviously, Matt Olson has been able to supply 33-plus home runs. Ozzy, Albies. He's done a nice job being able to supply you with between 19 to 20 home runs. You've been able to get that out of Michael Harris as well, and Harris is hitting about a 290. Tom Smith has done a nice job moving the line, hitting for about a 265, and the Braves are going to have the leg up in terms of this bullpen, as you've been able to have the Dylan Lee, Dylan Dodd both be able to give you sub 325 ERA, DDA Fuentes, Raciel Iglesias. These guys have been very rock solid, and for the New York Mets, it is very much a bullpen that is in transition right now because trade away Oscar Brisbane, you trade away Luke Weaver, all those guys. Devin Williams has not been great. Nate Lavender is a little bit of a young gun that they're hoping and praying for, but I like Scott in his form, and I think that he outduels Elder in a higher scoring game. Like the oversub, I told it at 8.7, won't take plus 137 or higher on the Mets, 953 and 954 on the card. The Cardinals, they are going to be playing us to the Philadelphia Phillies. Andrew Painter is on the bum for the Phils. Hunter Dobbins goes for the St. Louis Cardinals, and Cardinals do find themselves in a relative pick'em game, anywhere between plus 101 to a minus 108, and between minus 104 to minus 115. It's at number on Philadelphia, 9 is the total, over and under both at minus 110, and I'm actually going to take a shot on the under. I semi-total it at 8.7. Both of these teams just do not have good hitting splits in their respective locations, as for the Philadelphia Phillies, they're actually last in the National League in terms of runs scoring away from home, averaging just a hair below 4 runs per game when they are away from home, and the Cardinals have not been able to get anything going on offense when they've been at home this year. They're averaging 3.7 runs per game at home. That's last in the National League, and they average 5.1 runs per game away from home. So a little bit wackadoo there. I'm willing to trust in Hunter Dobbins, even though the fielding dependent is a little bit higher than the ERA. He's still been able to do a relatively solid job for the team. 3.60 ERA, 4.32 fielding dependent, 1.4 home runs allowed per 9 innings, but a little bit over 8 punch-outs per 9. And then for Andrew Painter, 6.48 ERA. Fielding dependent is more in the neighborhood, about a 5, but 1.8 home runs, 3.4 walks per 9, and he's just simply not getting the job done there. And you do have to have some trepidation when it comes to this Philadelphia Phillies bullpen as well. It's not been one that's really been impressing me. They trade for Caleb Killian. He's not a guy that really I have a lot of faith in. They went to extra innings once again yesterday with the Blue Jays, so they had to use up a few more bullpen pieces of what they'd like. Yohan Duran, Brooks Raley, these two guys have been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. Orion Kirkring has really seen his ERA balloon. He got lit up yesterday and was used for 27 pitches, so he's not going to be available in this game. Jose Alvarado is posting up an ERA as well above a 5 now. For the Cardinals, they've been in the bottom 10 in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA as well. Matt Savanson has been having himself a little bit of a rough go of it this season as he's got an ERA that's well above a 5. Ryan Stanek has been better recently, but still an ERA above a 4. Gordon Gassefo has been able to do a relatively solid job as well. And then when it comes to this Cardinals lineup, you do have to have a few question marks with regards to some of these guys at the bottom of the fold, like whenever you throw out there Pedro Paz. He has not necessarily been great. I haven't been necessarily impressed by Mason Wynn either, but that said, Jordan Walker over 20 home runs. He's hitting above a 280. I like what he's been able to bring to the table for this team. Additionally, you've been able to get really good production out of Von Herrera over a 350 on base, but that does fall off a little bit when he is at home. Additionally, J.J. Weatherholt, Alec Burleson, both of these guys, 16 plus home runs, and then able about a 350 on base apiece for both of them. And for the Philadelphia Phillies, they do continue to be a very top-heavy team. Kyle Schwarber has just been a guy that up until yesterday was really stuck on 33 home runs. He was able to get to yesterday to be able to get to 35, 370 on base. We'll see if that gets him back online. Bryce Harper, 25 bombs. He's about a 370 on base. And I do like the pickup of Luis Riz. Don't know why a guy that doesn't hit for power is hitting cleanup, but that's baseball in 2026. He's been able to about a 320. Still need a little bit of help from the outfield spots like Gabriel Arcones, Adolis Garcia. They've been sort of in a platoon, and Garcia, we haven't seen him in a long time, but you've had Brian De La Cruz, give you a little bit more here, but that said, I do think that the Cardinals find a way to get the job done. And again, with the splits of both of these teams, I'm going to be willing to take a shot on the under, and I'm going to be in on the money line of the Cardinals, set them at minus 124. 955, 956 on the card. It is the Rockies. They are going to be on the road against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Game is presently off the board because we do know that Gabriel Hughes is going to be on the bump for the Rockies. It's all to be determined. Going for the Arizona Diamondbacks, this is either going to be Mitch Bratt or Michael Soroka who's going to be going for them. It depends upon whether or not Michael Soroka is going to be coming off the injured list. And if you get Bratt, I set them at a minus 163. Even though Soroka is coming off the injured list, I'd probably be willing to go closer to minus 180, minus 185, depending upon what happens there. And then if it is Bratt against Hughes, 9.5 or less to the over, 10 or higher to the under, 9 or less to the over, 9.5 or higher to the under with Soroka. Again, subject to a little bit of change there. If you do get Bratt, he actually had a really nice start last time out for the team. 7 shutout innings against the Padres, gave up only 1 hit, but has been a little bit up and down. 551 fielding, dependent with 5.9 walks per 9 innings. And then with Michael Soroka, if he does make his return, this would be his first start in quite a while. Hasn't hit the mound since June 19th, so you're looking at just a hair below 2 months. And I mean, he's been solid this season, but he needs a little bit more of a power pitcher. About 8.7 strikeouts per 9 innings, only giving up 0.7 home runs, 1.9 walks per 9 innings. And when it comes to what we've been seeing in his minor league rehab starts to be able to get prepared, he only made 1 of them at Reno. He went 4 innings, he gave up 1 run, but that's not much of a sample size to really go off of. You have to feel like the just overall length probably not going to be there. Now, for this Arizona Diamondbacks team, I do have a lot of faith in the bullpen guys not named Paul Sewald. Sewald has been absolutely terrible, and Kevin Ginkel up to about a 3.60 ERA, but they used him yesterday. You've got the likes of A. Taylor Clark, newly just brought into the bullpen, Gerard Carrillo, Ryan Thompson, though he's probably going to be hitting the injured list, Jonathan Loaiza. These guys have been able to give you a sub 350 ERA for the Diamondbacks. Has been a little bit hit or miss with regards to the lineup, but do have Ketel Marte of the Marte Parte, who's been able to give you 20 home runs. He's hitting in the neighborhood about a 245, and then you also have about 16 to 17 home runs apiece out of Corbin Carroll and Nolan Arenado. They're both hitting about a 240. Lone 3 guys on the roster that give you a double-figure amount of homers, but Geraldo Perdomo is able to give you about a 360 on base. Gabriel Moreno, he's hitting about a 300. Ryan Walchman has been able to move line, so you do have guys getting on base. And for the Rockies, this has been one of the best offenses in all baseball, with Hunter Goodman being a very good man as he is supplying 33 plus home runs. Has more home runs on the road than at home, as a matter of fact. And for the Rockies, typically this is just an absolutely awful offense away from home, and they still have home and road splits, 5.2 runs per game when they're at home, closer to about 4.45 runs per game away from home, but that has very much been ironed out from past seasons. And then you have someone like a TJ Bromfield who's hitting just a hair below a 300. You've gotten good production out of Cole Carrick. He's been able to hit just below a 300. Jake McCarthy, the former Arizona Diamondback, he had a few home runs over the weekend. He's been able to hit about a 300, just top to bottom, other than maybe like Ezekiel Tovar, has been a very reliable Rockies offense. The bullpen is right now in the bottom 2 in terms of ERA in the National League. Brendan Bernardino's been able to give you sub 350 ERA, but these guys like Jimmy Ergat, Juan Mejia, Jaden Hill, they're all providing over a 5 ERA. Jordan Romano, he's had a few okay appearances. I still have absolutely no faith in him whatsoever, though. And for Gabriel Hughes, he's actually looked very solid in his starts thus far. It's a small sample size, but about a 4.25 ERA. He's given up just 1 home run in 29 and 2/3 innings. Walks per 9 rate is sub 3, so he's actually been relatively solid. Has now given up 3+ runs, so in 3 out of his last 5 starts. So it is a circumstance where if you get Brad, looking at minus 162 or better for the Diamondbacks, plus 164 or better for the Rockies. If you get Soroka, more around about minus 180 to minus 185 with the Diamondbacks. And then Brad against Hughes, 9.5 or less, looking at the over, 10 or higher to the under. And then with Soroka, 9 or less to the over, 9.5 or higher, the under, 957, 958 on the card. It is the Brewers. They're going to be on the road against the Slam Diego Padres, as Casey Mize is going to be on the bump for Slam Diego, and Logan Anderson is going to be going for the Brewers. Right now, the Padres do find themselves as a very slim favorite, as you're going to find them as high as a minus 110, as low as a minus 112, or I should say as bad as a minus 112. Meanwhile, with the Brewers, they're anywhere between even money to minus 105, and total on this game, 7.5. The under is minus 115 and the over is minus 105. Low total, but I'm going to be willing to take a shot on the under, semi-total at a 7.3. Now for Casey Mize, really struggled in his first start as a member of the San Diego Padres. Prior to that, though, when he was a member of the Detroit Tigers, he was very rock solid. He was posting up an ERA this season right around about a 270 for them, 257 fielding dependent, half home run per 9 innings, I don't think that one bad start should mar everything that he's done this season, and he's a relatively solid swing miss guy, maybe not like dominant, but still getting about 8.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. And then for Logan Henderson, he has just gone out there and dominated all season long. 270 ERA, 309 fielding dependent. He's up to about 11.2 strikeouts per 9 innings. We'll give it up just 1.8 walks per 9 innings. This is a Brewers team that's just an absolute factory for pitching, and for as good as the Padres bullpen has been, these guys like Yuki Matsui, Adrian Motorhome, being able to give you a sub 325 ERA. Obviously, Mason Miller has been in the back half of that bullpen. The Brewers have the better bullpen ERA. The Brewers are second in terms of bullpen ERA in the National League. The Padres are third, and with the likes of a Trevor McGill, Abner Uribe, give you a sub 350 ERA, that's big. Antonio Senzatella is starting to regress a little bit, so you do have to have a few question marks there, but still, you've got Aaron Ashby, who, even though he's had a rough last few weeks, he's still been able to spy about a 356 ERA for this team. The alternative, Paul, has been solid as well. Now, Uribe was used for a lot of pitches yesterday, so he's unlikely to be available. But when it comes to this Brewers lineup, you've just got so many guys that do a great job in terms of getting on base. Jake Bauers, right around about a 365 to a 370 on base, and he's right now the leader in homers with 20. And then you're able to get about a 365 on base out of Bryce Terang. You've had Mr. Gary Sanchez, in a small sample size, give you 375 on base. Now Brandon Lockridge, he's back. He's able to swipe bags. He's give you a 355 on base. David Hamilton, not necessarily the world's greatest in terms of getting on base, but he's been one of the better base stealers in the National League. Jackson Chourio has been able to give you 17 home runs. He's hitting a 275. Andrew Vaughn is hitting a 300. And for the Padres, it is a much improved offense ever since the All-Star break. Post All-Star break, they've been averaging just a hair below 5 runs per contest. You've got Fernando Tatis Jr. finally hitting some home runs. I think he's got as many home runs post All-Star break as he had pre-All-Star break, up to about a 350 or so on base. Manny Machado, 23 bombs. Overall for the season, not a great average post All-Star break, back above a 250. And Jackson Merrill, 17 home runs. He's been moving line. Ty France, he's been able to give you 15 plus home runs. He's finding a way on. So, interesting circumstance. I do think that in a pitcher-friendly ballpark and a battle of two great pitchers, that you do get a lower scoring game, though. So, I'm in on the under semi-total at a 7.3. And for the Brewers, set them at a minus 102. So that even money price won't take them on the money line. 959, 960 on the card. It is the Red Sox. They're going to be on the road against the Blue Jays, as it is Jameson Taillon who's going to be on the bump for the Jays, and Mr. Sonny Gray hopes to have a sunny day for the Red Sox. Total on this game, it is 8.5. The under is minus 120, and the over is even. I'm seeing 1 or 2 straight 8s out there on that 8. The over is minus 120, and the under is even. Meanwhile, for the Red Sox, you're going to be laying anywhere between minus 153 to a minus 165 with them, plus 132 to a plus 143 is that number on the Blue Jays. If you're looking to lay a run half with the Red Sox, finding that in the neighborhood about a plus 110 with regards to that run line, and I was willing to take pretty much anything of even money or better with regards to this Red Sox run line. I do think that Jameson Taillon is just going to continue to struggle. It's been a terrible season for him. It's just hard to have any faith whatsoever in him, and additionally, you had that Blue Jays bullpen have to be used up a little bit more than normal yesterday because they went 11 innings. For Taillon, 5.96 ERA for the season, but a 6.67 fielding dependent, 2.9 home runs, 3.3 walks per 9 innings, and I actually do like this Blue Jays bullpen. They have been a top 10 team in terms of bullpen ERA. Louis Varland, along with Tyler Rogers, have both been able to give you a sub 225 ERA. Mason Fluharty is starting to pick it up a little bit as well, and these dead guys like Tommy Nance, along with Jeff Hoffman, they're now the full, but you had to use Spencer Miles yesterday. He's been able to give you a sub 325 ERA. Braden Fisher is starting to round back into form, sub 365 ERA out of him as well, but again, just a lot of usage there. And for the Blue Jays, this has been a bottom 5 team in terms of run creation this year with less than 4 runs per contest. Viger Jr. actually got a home run over the weekend. Someone sound the alarm there, as he, Nathan Lukes, Jesus Sanchez, hanging between about a 262, 270. So Vernon Clement giving you about a 285 average, but only one guy on the roster has over 12 home runs this season, Kazuma Okamoto, and now with having George Springer sort of in and out of the fold, he's your number 2 guy with 12 home runs. That makes things a little bit more difficult as well. And on the flip side, for the Boston Red Sox, they've been significantly better with their offense when they've been away from home rather than at home. Entering into the day on Sunday, averaging about 4.3 runs per game at home, over 4.6 runs per game when they have been away from home. You've had Wilson Gutierrez do a nice job carrying the mail for the team. He's giving you 23 home runs, over a 375 on base. Noah Sogard, it's a little bit of a small sample size, but 365 on base out of him. And then Wilder Abreu, Andrew Marisario, Cedon Rafael, Caleb Durbin, all between about a 320 to a 330 on base. Caleb Durbin, since the middle of June, has been hitting just below a 300. He has really been able to come on strong for his team. Jaron Duran, he's giving you power, but he's really not giving you a lot of on base. But with the Red Sox, you also have a bullpen that does find themselves in the top 2 in the big leagues in terms of ERA. They had to use up quite a few pieces yesterday, but Eric Miller, Giovanni Morin, Garrett Woodlock, these have all been reliable guys, being able to give you a sub-3 ERA. Obviously, Aroldis Chapman has been one of the best closers in all of baseball. They went with a little bit of a wholesale approach yesterday, but even someone like a Teron Guerrero has been able to step up, do some nice work for this team. And with the Blue Jays just not being able to generate a lot of offense, I think that the Red Sox should be able to get the job done, even though I do think that Sonny Gray might be doing for a little bit of regression. For Gray, he's actually getting his lowest strikeouts per 9 rate since the 2016 season, 278 ERA, but that fielding dependent is now more in that neighborhood, about a 352. Only 0.9 home runs, 2.4 walks per 9 innings, but 8 strikeouts per 9, really not getting a lot of whiffs. So I do like the over, set my total at 8.6 for the Red Sox. Anything of plus money, I'm going to be in on that run line, laying a run F, 961, 962 on the card. It is the Twins. They are going to be playing us to the Baltimore Orioles. Trevor Rogers is in the neighborhood for the O's, and for the Twins, it is Mr. Dean Kramer facing off against his old team. For the Orioles, they find themselves anywhere between minus 105 to minus 112. Meanwhile, for Minnesota, they're in the neighborhood of about a even money price to minus 108, and total on this game it is 8.5, under and over are both at minus 110, and I'm going to be in on the Orioles, so I'm willing to lay up to a minus 106 with them. Trevor Rogers has been very much improved recently. He's had maybe 1 or 2 starts that have been a little bit less than savory overall for the season, 420 ERA, but a 348 fielding dependent. He just does a really good job in terms of not hurting himself, 0.9 home runs and 2.5 walks allowed per 9 innings. It's not too much of a swing and miss guy, only about 7.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, but you take a look at what he's been able to do ever since the beginning of the month of June, because the first 2 or so months of the season were just absolutely disastrous for him. Team is 8-3 in his last 11 starts. He's applying a 228 ERA with a 250 fielding independent, has given up 2 earned runs or fewer in all but 2 of those starts as well. And for Dean Kramer, he just has given up the deep ball this season, and there's a lot of familiarity with that Orioles lineup on him. Now for Dean Kramer, first start as a member of the Minnesota Twins, gives up 1 run in 5 innings, but prior to that, he had given up 14 runs at 10 innings in his previous 2 starts. Overall for the season, he's playing a 593 ERA, 589 fielding dependent with 2.6 home runs allowed per 9 innings. I think that he's a little bit of a better pitcher than that, and for the Orioles, it has been a little bit up and down with that lineup, but perhaps what we saw yesterday with them being able to put up a 10 spot in Texas is going to be able to get them going. As Gunnar Henderson, he certainly has been able to give you the deep ball. He's up to 18 plus home runs, just not a lot of on base with them, as his on base percentage is in that neighborhood about a 294, and then we've had Pete Alonso be able to pick it up to 25 bombs over a 340 on base. Christian Encarnacion Strand has actually been really good for this team as well. Jackson Allday all of a sudden has been able to move line. He's giving you about a 350 on base. Still need more of these guys like Leody Taveras, Colton Cowser, Tyler O'Neill, Kobe Mayo. They're hitting at 225 or lower, and Carlos Narvaez looks pretty useless at this point at the catcher spot. But for the Orioles, also a top 6 team in terms of bullpen area ever since June 1st. They do trade away Tyler Wells, but Ynier Cano along with Uncle Rico Garcia, these 2 guys have been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. Grant Wolfram is a guy that I don't have any faith in whatsoever, but Albert Swartz is a relatively good long guy. They might have something. Alex Hoppe is really struggling to begin the season with the Seattle Mariners, but he looks to be rounding into form. And then for the Twins, even though they revamped that bullpen at the deadline, it has still been a bottom 8 team in terms of bullpen ERA. Been able to get a little bit of production out of Andrew Morris, Yandris Gomez in a Twins uniform. Both of these guys have been able to give you a sub-350 ERA. They pick up AJ Minter at the trade deadline. Not really feeling Jeff Hoffman. They've been trying out their Tommy Nance a little bit, who hasn't been bad thus far, but Travis Adams, Taylor Rogers, less than savory there. And for this team, having Byron Buxton deal with injury is just not great, to say the least. For Buxton, he's been able to supply 25 home runs. Kalen Culpepper in a small sample size, he's their young rookie shortstop. He's been relatively okay. And I will say, Royce Lewis, ever since he got recalled from the minor league level, he's been able to do a significantly better job. You take a look at him, post All-Star break, he's been hitting more in the neighborhood about a 300. Still not a ton of power, but better than where it was. And then you do have a few boom guys in there as well, like Cody Clemens. He doesn't necessarily hit for average, but he's been able to give you 20 home runs. You've had Brooks Lee be able to give you 15 plus bombs as well. Lucas Shaw has been able to supply about a 350 on base, so I do think that you're going to be able to get some good scoring here. I'm in on the over. I did somebody told it at 8.7, and for the Orioles, we'll lay up to a minus 106 on that money line. 963, 964 on the card. The Rangers are going to be on the road facing off against the Angels, as Reed Detmers is on the bump for the Halos, and you've got one Mr. Mackenzie Gore, hoping to not get gored here for Texas. And Texas, they are back to being a favorite of minus 118, seeing as good as minus 115 as a matter of fact, to minus 123, and we're between even money to plus 110 for the Angels. 8.5 is a total. Over is minus 110 to a minus 115. Under is minus 105 to a minus 110. 2.55. That's how many runs per game the Angels are scoring since the All-Star break, so that's going to put me in on the under here. Did get an over in that game against the Marlins yesterday, but that's because the Marlins did all the work, and I actually like Reed Detmers. He's been able to go out there, have himself a relatively nice season. He's been pitching better than what the raw ERA would indicate, because if you look at the raw ERA, right now that's in the neighborhood of about a 4.12, but 3.47 fielding independent, 10.5 strikeouts, 2.7 walks per 9 innings. Does give up like 1.2 home runs per 9, but still, he's been solid in for Mackenzie Gore. His ERA does touch right around about 6 when he's away from him, but we should see some positivity here. 4.55 ERA, 3.74 fielding independent, 9.8 strikeouts, 1.1 home runs allowed per 9 innings, and for the Angels, it's not just what they've done post All-Star break. They're overall dead last in the big leagues in terms of run creation at home, with only about 3.6 runs per game at home, and then you do have a pair of guys, Zach Neto, Mike Trout, who have both been able to give you 18 plus home runs apiece, but outside of those two guys, really nobody else is giving you a lot of power. I mean, it's been miserable what we've been seeing out of Densar Guzman. He's got like 5 home runs at about a 280 on base. Wade Meckler's moving line. He's been at about a 300, and Nolan Schunel is up to about a 350 or so with his on base, but Moises Ballesteros, he's a young guy that might not be able to pick it up. Josh Lowe, Adam Frazier, they're washed-up veterans are hitting right around the Mendoza line of 200. The Angels bullpen honestly hasn't been the world's worst since June 1st. They're actually in the top 20 in terms of ERA. That's better than what they have been in the past. Likes of Luke Murphy, Sammy Natera, Jose Fermin. These have been guys who have been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. They're getting Ben Joyce off the injury list, and he's a nice power pitcher. And then on the flip side of things, you do have a bullpen of the Rangers that ever since June 1st, they have been a bottom 10 team in terms of bullpen ERA. They didn't necessarily have the go of it that they wanted yesterday against the Orioles, as Jordan Montgomery had to pitch in long relief. He and Cole Winn are both above a 6 ERA, but been able to get good production out of the likes of Tyler Alexander, Jacob Latz. These guys have been able to give you a sub 375 ERA. Cal Quantrill can now serve as a little bit of a long guy for the team as well. Peyton Gray hovering right in the neighborhood about a 350 or so with his ERA as well. And then for the Rangers, they've been a better offensive team when they've been away from home rather than at home, because the ballpark out there in Arlington, it really does suppress offense for the Rangers. They are averaging away from home right around about 4.2 runs per game. A Wyatt Langford has been able to give you a double-figure amount of homers. He's hitting in the neighborhood about a 265 to 270. You've gotten a lot of production out of Jock Peterson. He's up to right around 20 home runs. His on-base percentage in that neighborhood about a 340 as well. Still, we're going to need a little bit more out of Corey Seager, who's been hitting right around the Mendoza line of 200, actually below that thus far this season. But Brandon Nimmo, Ezekiel Duran, Nicky Lopez, hitting between about a 272, 280. These guys are moving the line. Elias is starting to regress a little bit, but overall, I do like what I'm seeing there. But I do think that this is going to be a nice low-scoring game. In on the under, some might tell 7.9 with the Rangers willing to lay up to minus 137 on the money line. 965, 966 on the card. It's the Rays. They're going to be on the road against the Athletics. Jacob Lopez goes for the Athletics, and Freddie Peralta is on the bump for the Rays. And the Rays do find themselves as a sizable favorite here, as you're going to be laying with them between minus 153 to a minus 162, and between plus 130 to plus 143. The number on the Athletics, 9.5 to 10 is the total. On the 9.5, over is minus 115. The under is minus 105. On the 10, over and under, anywhere between minus 105 to a minus 115. Even money to plus 105 is that run line price on the Rays, and I'm going to be willing to take the run line, even though Freddie Peralta has been absolutely terrible recently. Like, holy crud. Like, this is just a bad run. He's up to overall for the season a 437 ERA, now closer to about a 460 field independent, and for the season 1.5 home runs, 3.8 walks per 9 innings. But man, yeah, take a look at what has happened recently for him, and this is just a no good, very bad, terrible run. Over the last 8 starts that he has provided, the team is actually 3-5 in them, but he has given up 34 earned runs, 40 in total, and 34 in the third innings. And if you want to go back even further, he has now allowed 4+ runs, if math serves me correct, in 7 out of his last 13 in that time span, a 7.14 ERA, 56 total runs allowed in 63 innings. Like, good grief. Not good to say the least, but you know what else is not good? Jacob Lopez, who he last season was a really good power pitcher. He was able to find a way to be able to get swings and misses with 11 strikeouts per 9 innings, down to 8.4 strikeouts per 9 innings, 5.64 ERA, 5.31 fielding independent, 1.6 home runs, 5.2 walks per 9 innings, and he is backed up by a bullpen that, since June 1st, has a 6.83 bullpen ERA. Like, there's really nobody trustworthy other than maybe Hogan Harris. Hogan Harris has been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. He has been okay. Everyone else in this bullpen just absolutely awful. Now you're dealing with the likes of Mark Leiter Jr. and company being on the injury list. Elvis Alvarado, Brady Basso, they're both well above an ERA of a 4. Jose Suarez is not the answer. It's a long guy. Like, it's not great. And then you have a lineup that's right now dealing with Shea Langoliers and Nick Kurtz both being out of the fold. Now, Tyler Soderstrom, since the middle of June, has started near 400 on base. He's up to 19 home runs. He has been very solid, but he's like the only healthy player that is above 11 home runs right now for this team. You've been able to get a little bit of something out of Jacob Olson. He's been able to about a 270. Henry Bolte, he's backed up to a 333 on base along Carlos Cortez. Alika Williams, whenever he's been out there, he's been able to move line a little bit, but not a lot of boom. Good news is you're out there in Sacramento where the ball is absolutely flying and the runs flow like wine, and for the Tampa Bay Rays, they should be able to take full advantage. You've got Junior Caminero giving you 33 home runs, about a 370 on base. Yandy Diaz, Jonathan Aranda, 15 home runs apiece. Both are on about a 370 on base. And the ancillary guys, like Nick Fortes is hitting at 275. Ryan Valde has been able to about a 250. Chandler Simpson, 30-plus stolen bases, hitting at 300 for the Rays. They're about a league average team with regards to bullpen ERA. It's been getting better as the season has went along. Cole Sulzer just not the answer in this bullpen, but Brian Baker has been able to give you a sub-2 ERA. Kevin Kelly right at a 2 ERA. Cam Boozer has been really good in this bullpen as well. They let go of Craig Kimbrell, so that is addition by subtraction right there. They pick up Tyler Wells, who's been able to give you a sub-350 ERA, so do think that the Rays get the job done in a nice high-scoring expose like the over, so by total 10.2. And for the Rays, won't take any sort of even money on the run line, set them at a minus 108. 967, 968 on the card. The Astros are going to be on the road against the Giants. Blade Tidwell goes for the Giants. Hayden Wesneski should be going here for the Houston Astros. Right now, we're finding the Astros anywhere between a minus 150 to minus 158, between plus 130 to plus 140. Then around San Francisco, 8 to 8.5 is the total on the 8. Overs minus 115, the under is minus 105 on the 8.5. Under is minus 115 to minus 120. Overs between even and minus 105. I'm going to be able to take a shot here on the Giants. Set them at a plus 122. I am a big believer in fading these teams coming off of Sunday Night Baseball. It just feels like there's a little bit of a hangover for them. And Aiden Wesneski, he's making just his 9th start as a member of the Astros over the last 2 years. 4.33 ERA, 4.34 fielding independent, not letting a lot of length. He doesn't give up a lot of walks, 2.1 walks per 9 innings in the same span, but 1.4 home runs, 7.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. And for Tidwell, I actually do think that there's a little bit of upside with him. He got the start against the Texas Rangers, 2 runs allowed over a course of 5 innings, and while he might not be a superpower pitcher, it's a small sample size of 17 innings. You're at the big league level, 6.9 strikeouts per 9 innings, but he's only allowed like 1 home run and a few walks in this time span. You go back to what he did for the AAA affiliate in Sacramento, and as we know, the Sacramento A's, nobody can pitch over there. He was posting up a 4.38 ERA. I'm not saying that he was amazing or anything like that, but that said, he was able to get about 10 strikeouts per 9 innings, kept things out in front of him, and he is backed up by a Giants team that's starting to pick it up on offense. Rafael Devers is above 22 home runs, and he's hitting above a 245. The on-base percentage is still maybe not what it was with the Red Sox, but he's been able to improve a little bit there. William Adames really needs to improve that on-base percentage, but hey, for William Adames, he is up to now 19 home runs. You've been able to get Jungle Lee going, hitting for about a 300 for this unit. They do trade away a few pieces like Eloy Ramos at the trade deadline, but Bryce Eldridge continue to give you about a 345 on base, and for the Houston Astros, it can be a little bit of a top-heavy lineup as well. Yordan Alvarez, no offense or buts about it, this guy's been absolutely incredible. He's been giving you over 34 home runs, well above a 425 on base, and Jeremy Pena hitting above a 300 double-figure amount of homers. That's been rock solid. Jose Altuve has not been what he has been in the past, but still is giving you a little bit of pop. Isaac Paredes, 350 on base. It's just those mix-and-match outfielders. Sullivan Varsho trading for him at the trade deadline should be able to help you out, but Cam Smith, Zach Cole, Lamont Wade Jr., the currently injured Bryce Matthews, so many of these guys hitting at 225 or lower, other than Smith, no power whatsoever, and Yunier Diaz, while he hits for a 260, 286 on base, he just doesn't draw any walks. It is an Astros team that's been very good with their bullpen recently, top 5 team in terms of bullpen ERA since June 1st. Getting back Josh Hader has made all the difference for the team. Bennett Sosa has been able to give you sub 325 ERA. Stephen Okert right around about a 220 as well. Brian King is starting to be a little bit wobbly, but he's still at about a 350 ERA, and Aniel De Los Santos, Brian Abreu, they've been a little bit rough to say the least, and for the Giants, no doubt about it, trading away Eric Miller. That hurt this bullpen a little bit, but still, you've got a few guys I really like you're getting back off the injured list, a guy in Keaton Wynn, Sam Antiches, Dylan Smith. They've been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. Now, Carson Seymour, Revier, Sam Martin, don't have a lot of faith in them, but like JT Brubaker, and I do think that the Giants present some value here. I'm in on the over, so I told it at 8.7, and with the Giants, well, to take a plus 123 or better on the money line, wrap things up with 969, 970. The Royals are going to be on the road against the Dodgers as Tariq Skubal is on the bum for the Dodgers. Noah Cameron goes for the Royals. Royals are royally sized underdogs here, hanging between plus 240, seeing as high now as a plus 275. Meanwhile, with the LA Dodgers between minus 295 to minus 310 is that number. Total is 7.5. Over is minus 110 to a minus 120, and the under is between even and minus 110. And for the Royals, they're just making me an offer that I can't refuse here. This is grody. This is very grody, to say the least, but I'm going to be willing to take a shot here. I needed at least a plus 265 to be able to do so, and we have certainly gotten there. For Tariq Skubal, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, he has been rock solid. He's only given up 1 home run since the All-Star break. Strikeout to walk ratio above 7.7. He's still getting good swing and miss. Took him a few starts after he had the injured list stint to be able to find his bearings, but he has been able to find his bearings. That said, Noah Cameron, I know that it was really rough for him in the month of June. He had a bunch of starts where he was giving up 4+ runs. His last 2 starts, actually his last 3 starts, he has went a combined 23 innings with 1 run allowed, and he has been averaging 8 strikeouts per start. He's actually rounding into form. You do have an LA Dodgers lineup that has been far worse when they have been at home rather than away from home. For the Dodgers, they average about 5.6 or so runs per game away from home. That's numero uno in all baseball. Closer to 4.4 runs per game when they are at home. Now you've got a Royals team that's averaging about 3.6 runs per game away from home. That is second last in all baseball, but post All-Star break, Salvador Perez has been able to give you 6+ home runs. You've got Bobby Witt Jr., who comes off the injured list. He should be able to give this team a little bit of a spark. You've been able to get good production as well out of someone like a Carter Jensen, who's up to 13+ home runs. Tyler Tolbert sitting above 300. Luke Melee in a small sample size. He's been able to move by and get on base. John Rave has been able to as well. For the Royals, you do have to have your trepidations with this bullpen. Still a bottom 3 team in terms of bullpen area. As a matter of fact, dead last in the American League. Lucas Ursich, Steven Cruz, Alex Lang, a whole bunch of guys out there that are providing an ERA well above a 4. I do like the pickup of Nate Pearson. Obviously not having Carlos Estevez out there. That hurts them. And for the Dodgers, Edwin Diaz has not been himself. He just has not been good since coming off the injury list. So that's a little bit of a concern. They deal with injuries to the likes of Blake Trinan, Will Klein, Brock and Roll Stewart. So Alex Vesia, Tanner Scott, they've been able to give you sub 325 ERA along with Jack Dreyer. They're needing to step up in a big way. Edgar Enriquez has been pretty solid as well, but not a lot of length out of Justin Robelski yesterday. So that really puts the onus on Skubal to be able to give you a good start. And I think that he's going to be able to do so, but I just think that this number has gone a little bit too far, even though the Dodgers, you saw Shohei Ohtani giving you 24+ home runs, darn near a 4-arm base. For Kyle Tucker, it's obviously been a little bit of a shaky season for him, to say the least, but Andy Paz, 18+ home runs, he's hitting about 270. Freddie Freeman, 15+ bombs, hitting at 300. I do think that you're going to get some good run production here. Heck, Kike Hernandez, he's been able to look good in a small sample size along Tommy Edmonds, so like the 7 after the over, so I told 7.8, and with this big of a number, I'm going to take the plus money here with the Royals, and that'll wrap things up for the Monday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN family of podcasts. A big thanks to our guy Tanner Kern of DraftKings for joining me in the last segment. If you do like hearing from this fine podcast, Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of 2 ways to be able to fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_D1. Keep in mind, letters CM, they mean does not matter. So per usual, please send these into the timeline. And the other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. And then from there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. And I'm with you guys every single day, giving you guys picks and analysis on every game, every day. So I'll be back with you once again tomorrow. Thank you.